Good morning, good morning. Can you believe the beautiful sunrise that we are witnessing out here in the Sabi Sand Reverse? That's a great way to start the day. Sabi Sand Reserve in South Africa. I almost had it, but then of course it wouldn't be Taylor if I didn't mess it up. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is David. And well, this is a live and interactive safari, and hopefully we're going to be able to show you all sorts of wonderful animals today. For those of you that don't know how to chat to us, because yes, you can talk to us, myself and Brent and Tristan. All you have to do is hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also chat to us via the YouTube chat. But we're going to take a moment of silence now, not because it's anything sad, just because it's so beautiful. And for those of you coming to South Africa, best familiarize yourself with the turtle dove call. That's the one you can hear prominently. You hear lots of them all calling away. They're always up quite early. And this is our first sunrise I think I've put on screen since I've been back in South Africa. I don't know why. Obviously haven't seen one as beautiful as this, but it is really, really, really quite amazing. Anyways, we are actually having to head to Chitwa. And this morning, we're going to be bumbling on down that way, and Brent and Tristan are going to be searching for leopards and lions on Djuma. And it seems as though the Birmingham Boys, well, at least some of the Birmingham Boys, are back from their wander down south. Very exciting stuff. So I wish Tristan and Brent good luck, and hopefully they'll find those big boys. I bet you're excited to see them. Let's go across to Brent and see how excited he is in, well, the possibilities of potentially seeing those big boys again.
Well, I was very excited when I started out the morning. I'm less so at the moment because I've been on their tracks for a little while, unfortunately. I was pretty certain they would have crossed north. I actually think they're all in the Manuleti by now, all the Avocas, all the Birminghams. There's a nice clear track up ahead of the lion crossing to the north. No, that's a hippo track there. But I went past, I shot down towards Sydney's waterhole to see if we could maybe get a long distance visual of the lions, but I think we're already too late and they've already skedaddled. Now where was that track? It's up here somewhere. There's that lions there, Seb. Still hippos though. They crossed through this corner here. I'm just trying to find the tracks again, and I would say that there's two sets of tracks here. One is quite difficult to see, and I think that's the Avoca guys. It's running down the road. It's just these little sort of scuff marks on the road, and the other is a clear track of a big male lion. Now, of course, sorry, I forgot. My name's Brent Leo Smith. I've got Sebastian Rombi on camera, and we shot up to the northern boundary as fast as possible. Those lions were keeping me awake this morning with the racket. Sebastian slept through it all, of course. He blames his aircon. Yes, he blames his aircon. I think he was just passed out to sleep. But yeah, so I'm going to try to show you the two different types of tracks. Now, they should be right here somewhere. Where was it? It was this little... There was a little section. There we go. There's some big male lion tracks on both sides of the road. But let's go to the sides. On top of the hippo tracks. So there we go. You can see the lion tracks on top of the hippo tracks. Oh no, that's the hippo. A little bit to the. Yeah. If you go up, there's a clear. There we go. There's a clearer big male lion track. So unfortunately, it looks like they have crossed to the north. Now, as I said, there were two different types of tracks. There's tracks of the striding lion, and they're walking quickly. They're not running by any means. Oh, watch out, snail. Giant land snail, little one. I'm going to show you quickly while I head off towards... Good morning. Now, early morning after the rain, the giant land snail is going to probably move off here and try to find somewhere cool and damp to spend the day. And you can see it testing the air. Okay, let's show you the next lion track, which I think is an avoca that is running at high speed. Okay, there was okay, where was that other track of the running? Here we go. Now, you see that little scuff there, Sebastian? No, to the left. That one's still the hippo. That there, yes. That is a lion running. You can actually see the claws gripping into the soil, and it's trying to get out of dodge. So sometimes tracking can be quite difficult because the tracks don't look like any tracks. They just look like little scuffs in the sand. So unfortunately, I think those lions have made a skedaddle. So I'm going to skedaddle all the way down to the east and see if Tandy might have possibly snuck back in from Torchwood. While we do that, let's go see how Tristan's doing, because I think he's already found leopard tracks this morning.
We have, Brent, so at the moment we're just admiring the beauty that Taylor was admiring when she kicked things off a little bit earlier. But we have found tracks for a female leopard that is moving around on Philemon's dip area. Now, that could be either Tandy, who we know used to hang around there a lot, or maybe Shadulu's made a push deeper in towards Djuma. I'm not quite sure, but we're going to have a little look around and just see what's going on. But as Brent mentioned, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Craig, aka the Batman, with me this morning, which should be delightful. Now, we are going to try and see if we can follow these tracks a little bit. It's in an area where, well, Jigger has little to no signal, so it's not like I can spend too much time in this area. I'm going to have to try and do some wider loops to hopefully be able to pick up the signal that we need. And then from there onwards towards Chitwa once again, we'll go try and see what's happening with our barn owl and the chicks, and also go and see if maybe any sign of Hosana that side. So that's the plan for the morning from myself and Craig, but we're going to keep going sort of southwards. The Birminghams came from this direction, and isn't it amazing that they came back in full force? Seems as though they sent the Avoca boys running back north. You can actually see their tracks right here for the Birminghams where they came. If you look on the left side of the road, you'll be able to see there is a disturbance where that tire track is. You can see a disturbance coming all the way down. There we go. There. So those big markings on the left side where those tire tracks turn. There we go. That's where those Birmingham boy tracks are, which is pretty cool. Nice. Let's carry on and see if we can find, I think maybe Taylor or somebody might want to follow up. And in fact, I can just hear the guys calling in now that they've just found those Birmingham males on the Buffelshoek cut line. So Brent, if you're up that way, Buffelshoek cut line on Mvubu is where they've just been found, which is good news. Sky, it depends. I mean, it depends on what the Avocas do, but the Avocas might have heard the Birminghams coming because, well, they were not in the situation where they were quiet last night. The Birmingham boys were making a lot of noise, and so I'm pretty sure the Avocas got up and out quickly, and they'll go as far as they can until they stop hearing that roaring and feel safer. So I'm pretty sure those Avocas covered some distance last night and have moved far away from here, maybe back into the Manyeleti, maybe even northern Buffelshoek. Difficult to say. They could have also run west and gone towards Sabi side. It'll be interesting if they did, because that then means the Nkuhumas are having to kind of deal with them on that side of the world. So I wonder what's going to happen. I see the Birminghams actually came from the southeast, which is interesting. They must have come all the way up from Mala through Cheetah Plains and Chitwa, those areas, and all the way this side. So it's a long way that they walked yesterday. It just goes to show you, though, the lions can cover major distances. They'll do easily up to 20 kilometers in a night. And so even though they were down all the way in the south, they can cover that distance and get up to where they need to be in order to defend their territory. And for a lot of people who were writing the Birminghams off saying that they've left this area, is a very bold statement that they've just made to everybody, that they are still very much in control of what's going on here, but they're going to have to be a lot more aware of what's going on, and they're going to have to patrol this area a lot more than what they were. And it might be good for us. We might see a lot more of the Birminghams over the course of the next few weeks as they try and kind of sit in this area just to make sure that those boys don't come back. It'll be an interesting situation. Good. Well, we're going to try and cross the Mulawati and just check on Battalier Road, because if it's Tandy's tracks, she should have come this way. It looked like the tracks turned east from Philemon's Dip, which means that she should theoretically pop out somewhere here. And so while I kind of check around and see if she did, let's send you across to Brent Leo Smith, who has managed to catch up with those Birmingham boys.
Well, what a wonderful surprise. Those tracks we had running down the boundary and heading north into Buffalo's Hook were, of course, of the 3 Avoca males. And now we're with some proper male lions. The 3 of 4 Birmingham boys. They're all lying quite flat, so it's quite difficult to see which individuals are here. But it seems like they didn't even have to fight to send the 3 little Avocas dashing off to the north. They're looking very, very comfortable. They've covered quite a long distance over the last couple of days. As I said, 3 or 4 days ago, they were about 27 kilometers away, right down in the south of Londolozi, near Sabi. Lisa says, is there any speculation to why the Birmingham boys are back? This is part of their territory, Lisa. So even though they're trying to extend their territory down to the south and gather more prides, if they heard and were close enough to hear those Avoca males roaring, they would have seen that as a threat to their current cubs with the Inkahumas, with the sticks, so they would have come back to see them off. Now, this might not be the end of this battle, as we know, like it happened with the Birminghams and the Matimbas. It was a couple of months of back and forth before the Birminghams actually took over from the Matimbas. So I still think that these guys are in a lot better state than the Matimbas were. They're still in their prime, around 9-10 years old, or just actually 8-9 years old, whereas the Matimbas were well over 10-11 by the time the Birminghams arrived. And also 5 versus 2 back then. Now it's 3 versus 5. Oh, so 3 versus 4, sorry. Because, of course, one of the Birminghams died from a wound from a buffalo. So it's likely that these Birminghams will be around to stay. The only time that they might not come back is if they decide that there's more females, and in the south, in the center of the Sabi Sands, around the Sand River, and there's not much competition in terms of male lion coalitions down in that area of the Sabi Sands, so they might just sort of almost give up. Oh, everyone's a bit jumpy. One shakes the head, everyone jumps up. Now, of course, that's because there have been other male lions in the area. Now, who is that? Is that Tinyo? Let's have a look. It looks... I can't really see... Yes, it looks like Tinyo. But I haven't seen these guys in a long time. Oh, they are hungry. Hungry. And, I mean, look at that. He's almost got a greyhound belly on him. I just heard from Tax there's a small herd of buffalo not too far away. I saw their tracks as well while I was heading down here. He's just moving spots. But that is a hungry male lion. It's not often you see male lions that hungry. So, which sort of leads me to believe that they'd almost certainly heard the Avocas calling once they moved slightly up into the northern sections, and they would have they would have run. So they will run into an area if they hear opposing male lions in the area and charge straight in to get rid of them. In this case, I think the sound of their roars was enough to send the Avocas dashing off, but normally it might even end up in a fight. As I said, if the Avoca boys were probably a year older, they might have hung around to see if they could have matched these 3. But I think at the moment, the Avoca boys are another couple of months away from challenging the Birminghams, if challenging the Birminghams at all. They are beautiful male lions, this lot. And after seeing the evokers over the last while, you can see the difference in the mane and the age, and how far more developed these lions are. I'm just going to move the car a little bit. Hello, big boy. Now, of course, we saw the Avoca males scent mark, and they've been roaring. So it's interesting. And Jared's buddy says, "Well, why would they scent mark and then dash off?" The thing is that they thought there was a gap, and as all opportunistic creatures. So I'm just trying to turn down my game drive radio. It's got a bit loud. There we go. Alright, so the Birminghams haven't been up in the north for quite some time. They haven't been vocal. So the evokers would have possibly heard them when they started coming down, but at a distance, and thought, well, these guys aren't really around. And if they could easily sort of snatch a territory from a single male or two males, or even an area that's devoid of males for the moment, they would have. So they took a bit of a chance. As I say, I don't think this story is over. I think the evokers are still going to be around for a while. It's just going to be very interesting to see if the Birminghams really push forward their advantage and get rid of them completely, or we're going to start having a sort of little dance-off as those evokers grow in confidence. And apart from being a bit hungry, they're looking in good nick. Looking like proper male lions should, with the odd scratch and scar and tatty ear. Now, whenever you see a photograph on Instagram or on Facebook, whatnot, of a big male lion who doesn't look like he's been through the wars, hello, Dino. Like Mr. Tino, it is a captive bred lion, a lion from a zoo, because a proper wild male lion always... What was that? Sounded like someone's car found the bottom of a big rock. It did not sound good, but it always looked like they've been through the wars. So a proper male lion must look like he's been in a fight constantly. If he doesn't, then, as I said, it's probably a captive bred animal. Well, it seems like after a very quiet few days on the cat's front is picking up, because Tristan is on Tandy and Tlalamba's tracks.
Well, Brenty, it has been a quiet few days, but at least we've got the three boys. That's good news, that they've come in and kind of put their foot down a little bit. It'll be interesting to know how far those Avoca males ended up traveling last night and where they are now. And the other thing is that it's good for, obviously, our pride, in Kahumas and the likes, that these guys are back, because it's going to mean a lot more protection for them. So I've left our leopard tracks, not because I'm not following them. I am still following them, but I'm doing a quick scan to the east, because if it's Tandy, she might have already gone quite far from where those tracks were. Those tracks were fairly fresh, but there was a few buffalo that had walked over the top of it, and so I know the buffalo were around the dam at about 9 o'clock, which means that if that leopard walked around there at 9, she could easily be already back in Torchwood side. So I just want to jump ahead, confirm that nothing's crossed on our eastern side, and see if I can find her. Now, Sky, the leopards won't flee, but they definitely will kind of move out the area, not running, but they'll make a plan to get out of there fairly quickly. Now, hang on, there's tracks here for lots and lots of hyenas going up and down. Just want to see if there's any leopard tracks in amongst us, but the leopards will just kind of get around and try and move away from where all the commotion is and just sort of lie low. They're not going to advertise themselves too much. They'll just try and kind of keep as quiet as possible and just move through there without the lions picking them up. They know, though, when the lions are like that, is that they're very preoccupied, so it's not as difficult for them actually to move around. But interestingly enough, there are just hyena tracks all over the right-hand side here, so I wonder, maybe there's something to look for in these trees. Wouldn't that be nice to stumble upon a carcass that we could have a look at? The thing is, though, is they're not cutting off into the bush. They're all kind of just milling around up and down, and it looks like for all the male hyenas is a group of 5 hanging around together at the moment. Now, I'm just listening to the radio because something about leopard tracks, I just can't hear where exactly it is. I'll have to try and get hold of Aubrey just now. Let's have a look while we go this way. Nothing that I can see here at the moment. Now, it sounds like that leopard track has gone south into Little Gowrie for that female, so it sounds like it must have been Shadulu that walked there. There's at least a beautiful bird. No, don't fly away. Okay, you can sit there, that's fine. But it sounds like that track must have been Shadulu's because it's gone down from Philomon's, and there's a track that is going south from Treehouse side of a female leopard into Little Gowrie, so maybe it could be Shadow, you never know. Imagine that. That'd be a turn up for the books. But it would be nice if it was her. But either way, the track that I think we were following has turned south and gone. But there is a beautiful lilac-breasted roller that's not quite as beautiful as it will be once the sun is up. It was looking a lot prettier when it was lower down because it wasn't as sort of against such a harsh background. But hopefully that will start to lighten up and we'll get a little bit of coloration. Nice when it turns its head there and the sun highlights the face a little bit. Beautiful birds, and they'll be happy because the European rollers are slowly but surely leaving. In fact, there's very few Europeans left, and that means there's going to be far less competition for food and perching space. These two occupy a very similar area and have a similar role within the ecosystem. So it's interesting just to see how these guys must love the fact that the Europeans are gone. Well done, Craig. Off it goes, flying into the distance. Okay, well, that's not good news that the leopard track went south, and I'll have to try and find something else to work with. It's okay, though, because we're still in the area where maybe Tandy is, and so it's worth checking around here now even harder than what we were initially thinking. I thought maybe it was Tandy's track that side. I mean, I didn't get a proper look at it. It was still fairly dark, and so it's difficult to say. And also, determining the difference between Tandy and Shadow and the likes would be very, very difficult without actually kind of seeing them every single kind of moment that you track. You'll eventually notice little changes, but it would take a while. Let's go past Buffelshoek Dam first before we do anything else. You never know what's lurking there. No tracks of any leopards here at Quarry Pan. Now, I'm pretty sure that Brent is sitting with the Birminghams and that the sun is starting to get up, and maybe that's going to drive the 3 of them to actually lift their heads, and so we can see who they all are, and hopefully they'll get up and do a little bit of a display, and maybe even a roar for Brent.
Well, I hope Tristan's right, but I don't think so. I think they've covered a huge amount of distance last night to get here. I think they're probably going to be on the quiet side this morning. Now, for those of you who are listening to the dam cam last night, there was an incredible amount of noise between the different roaring coalitions of male lions. And First Lady is asking, can they damage their vocal cords while roaring? No, and their vocal cords are specially designed for roaring. They've got the hyoid apparatus, which is a bone in their throat that is, in small cats, it is a solid piece of bone, but in big cats, in the Panthera family, it's cartilage, so that vibrates. So they push air over that cartilage, which vibrates, which enables them to create those incredible sounds. So no, they don't damage their vocal cords while roaring. They can damage their vocal cords while fighting, however, and that's obviously from being bitten by another male, and that's one of the evolutionary advantages of having a mane. It's to protect their throat and that vulnerable area under their throat, where there's obviously their vocal cords and carotid artery, lots of things you don't want another lion's canine going through. Now, one thing is definitely out and about after the rain, and it's a lot of the little biting flies, and so far the lions seem to be able to ignore them, but they seem to be attacking me and Seb rather than the lions this morning. All the lions have just got used to it. Now, of course, we've got 3 out of 4 here, and Ben, who's 9 years old, says, where is the 4th Birmingham boy? Ben, I have no idea. Somewhere to the south of us. He could have got left behind. He could have got sidetracked by a lady. I have no idea where the 4th Birmingham is currently. Now, very, very flat cats at the moment. Now, of course, a lion's roar is a hugely important communicative tool. It tells lions lots of different things. And JC says, can other lions tell the age and number by the roar? The number, most definitely, they can hear that there's 3 males from the roar. Age, I'm not sure. Confidence, definitely. So it might not even be the age, but the confidence of the roar in terms of the Birminghams coming back would have probably been enough to see off those young evokers for now. I'm pretty sure one is definitely Tinyo. I'm not sure about the other 2. Now, that noise you might hear in the background it sounds like someone's getting an early start on working on the roads on a Sunday morning. It sounds like someone's scraping some dirt out of a quarry. So he said, I've just spotted something I want to have a look at. Tawny eagle behind us who's just landed in the tree. We're going to try to show you this tawny eagle quickly. It's in beautiful light. I just saw it flying over behind us to land in the dead tree. And off it goes again. Beautiful. Lovely camera work, Sebastian. Okay, well, that tawny eagle is northward bound. It sounds like Madam McCurdy is eastward bound. Let's see where she's off to.
Here we are. We're not quite driving into the sun though this morning. We are driving on the airstrip. I should have checked for aeroplanes. My bad. Whoops. That could have been a big mistake, eh, David? Imagine trying to desperately swerve off of the airstrip as a plane comes on down. Luckily, we were fine today. So we're on Chitwa eventually, and I'll give you some cool updates. And I have sent Tristan a voice note so that he can also listen to them, and I'll tell you. Apparently, Hukumori was on his way towards us last night from Arathusa. So was Shidulu, and apparently there's a pack of wild dogs running in the vicinity too, so they could always pop on past. So hopefully Tristan heads on west and gets some luck. That'll be nice for him. And I'm saying to David, he deserves it. He deserves all of those animals. And then I asked Peter, you've all met Peter, I gave him a biscuit the other morning, remember? On safari when it was cold and rainy. And he said that Hukumori doesn't have a scratch on him. How crazy is that he gave the Anderson male a hiding? Tough boy, this one. It shows sometimes you don't need to be the biggest and strongest boy out there to whip them into shape. So that's pretty scary and quite exciting at the same time, though, because I don't think Hukumori's a massive leopard. I don't think he's a bus. I mean, I think Tingana is probably a bit bigger than him. Obviously, there's a big age difference, though. Anyways, so yeah. Oh, it's our tree with all the squirrels in. I don't know if they're going to say hi, squirrels. Let's see if I go back really slowly. There we go. There's one. Hi, squirrels. Nom 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 nom. Nom nom nom. What are you eating? Nuts? Early breakfast? Or are you just chatting, practicing your call quietly? But they live in this Maruda. There's a family of them that live in here. I'm just trying to work out where their hole in the tree is, because, I mean, typically at night time, they'll actually go into a cavity of sorts. But I haven't seen one here. Maybe there's a branch. Oh, you know what, David? Oh, they're not even paying attention today, but there is a small branch. That one. There's holes. You see, look how it's completely hollowed out, so I bet that's where the squirrels are living, or at least sleeping at night. I was trying to think, because I was like, oh, this is a fairly healthy marula tree. There's not many of those branches on there. In fact, from what I can see, that's the only one with a decent cavity in it, and probably runs hollow all the way through. So I bet that's where they're sleeping. Maybe they even have a couple of barbets keeping them company every now and then. But the squirrels are off. They're out, warming themselves up. One ran onto the top of the termite mound, has now disappeared into the grass. So they're starting their day early. And then, look who we've got up ahead. No, don't run away from me. I will chase you like you chase the other birds. Don't think I won't, Blacksmith Lapwing. Ah, it heard me. It's now flying away. Where's it going? It's still going along towards, there we go. So there's dead trees. Where are you going, birdie? Also, unusual. We normally find them around water. But I suppose with all the puddles and things that have filled up in the road and the natural pans that have been topped up, any water source can be a home. It doesn't have to be a permanent source. Not everybody can have Treehouse Dam as their home. I think that pair that lives there have been defending it quite well, chasing sandpipers away, 3-banded plovers, and perhaps the odd water thickney too. Very busy. And it's a good place to feed, especially if you are feasting upon insects on a very warm day like today. Well, I say this with my big coat on, but it is going to warm up. I'm going to have to take it off just now. The insects have been out. Actually, they were out before we were up this morning. Those little flies are around, so I'm sure there's little grasshoppers and butterflies and things just sitting on the edge of the grass stalks waiting for the sun to beat down on them. Well, we shall carry on. Then there's another update of male leopard tracks going into Chitwa Lodge. So I wonder who that could be. Coming from going from the east going west. So we will have a little scratch around at some point down there too, and see if we can find the culprit. Whether we will, I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe it's Hosana again. Maybe he's made another kill at the lodge. Perhaps that is the case. Right. We'll keep checking around here to see if there are any more tracks of other animals. I don't think anybody has actually done too much driving around on Chitwa this morning. Brent, however, has got an interesting view of the lions.
Well, a slightly interesting view of the lions. They've just been so completely flat. The only movement this lion has made is to roll his head backwards and sort of find a slightly more comfortable spot. Now, I think these boys are as I said, have covered a lot of distance overnight last night to get to this area around where the evokers were, to chase them off and to make sure that their reign in the north is still secure. Now, as I said they've covered a long distance, probably easily 10 or 15 kilometers overnight, and Vegas Beauty is wondering about lions' jogging prowess. Can they run for long distances or just short bursts? They can lope a sort of half jog for very long distances. I've seen them do it for up to 10 kilometers, but after doing that, they are very, very tired, as you can see with this lot this morning. Busy night for the Birmingham Boys. As I said, I don't think they're going to be up to too much more, and while it's cool, we don't want to waste the good tracking and cat movement weather, so we know where they are. We can always come back and check on them a little bit later on the safari. I think in the meantime I'm going to carry on heading east down towards Cheetah Cutline and see if the lovely Tandy has made his way back on to Djuma. In the meantime, it sounds like Tristan's decided to start doing some birding.
Now, we have indeed, so sorry, I was busy on the Game Drive radio, and so I do apologize about that. I didn't even finish my message then, but we have done a bit of birding. We've come to Buffelshoek Dam to be able to watch, whatever was here, and at the moment it's just the Egyptian geese that are on the edge of the bank, and there's also a situation where there's a few hippos, far more hippos than there were the other day. It's actually quite nice. There's, I think, 3 or 4 of them here today, which is quite cool. So they're sitting where that blinding sunshine is, unfortunately. They moved a little bit from the left. You can see the heads of 2 of them. So there's one in the blinding sunshine, which was not there a few minutes ago. They were a little bit more, like I say, to the left of that, where there wasn't sun. But it's a beautiful, beautiful spot in the morning. You get this kind of almost misty feel to it, a bit of moisture that's above the water, and with the sun rising you get this kind of backlit. It's very, very pretty here, and so I was hoping that we might find something of interest other than the hippos, but it seems like we'll have to be happy with our hippo friends at this stage. They've obviously, I'm sure, are thrilled that the lions moved out of the area, as well as the fact that hopefully most of the ellies are not disrupting them anymore after 2 days of swimming elephants that were making a big noise and a mess here. I'm sure the hippos are happy to have a little bit of normality return to the Buffelshoek Dam area. But very peaceful and beautiful. It's amazing what these dams look like in the mornings, and then you kind of go through the middle of the day and it's so hot around here. You can see the sun, just kind of rays of light coming down there, which is very pretty. And then in the afternoon they become a hive of activity again. I was hoping, like I say, that maybe something would be here this morning. Maybe one of our leopards would be lying in the shade somewhere, but alas, it doesn't seem that. So what I think I'm going to do is probably head down Cheetah Cutline and then towards the west and just try and see if we can find anything for Hukumuri on that side. Now, Wisteria, you say the water looks so calm with the hippos bobbing up and down. It is very, very pretty scene, isn't it? It's almost like a little oil painting. You've got this kind of very calm water with reflections. There's a few hippos every now and then that create some ripples, but otherwise it's as still a morning as you could possibly get, and it feels like it's going to be an absolute scorcher because the sun has already got some heat to it, and I believe that it's going to be about 36 degrees Celsius today, which is close to 90, so it's going to be very warm. Now, Sandor, fish in this water depends. I mean, obviously this is a water point that kind of fluctuates and has dried before, but theoretically you should get catfish, so what we call barbel, sharp-toothed catfish is one of them. You should get certain types of bream species, And then you might even get one or two killifish, which would be quite interesting. Now, killifish there's just one species that we actually get in the Kruger Park system, and they only live for 1 year, and then they lay their eggs and they then die. So it's quite interesting for little fish, but it's very colorful, and it would be a surprise to find it in here. You normally find them in river systems, but you might find one getting washed in at some point. It would be an interesting thing to do. Other than that, that's probably about it. It's not a active sort of river area. There's not much feeding it, so the amount of fish that are in here are very, very few and far between. It's only when the catfish kind of walk across land like they can, and they come in and they start to populate. But other than that, won't be that many fish. In fact, I actually haven't even seen catfish whiskers coming up at this dam at all. It just seems to be mostly terrapins at this stage. I'm sure it's because it dried. A lot of the fish would have been dead, obviously, and they wouldn't have survived, and they would have then had to move on to somewhere else. And so it will take a while for it to kind of repopulate as it gets wetter, so catfish can move around and kind of eventually populate this section. Right, I think let's carry on from Buffelshoek Dam. We don't have very much else around here, and while it's still cool enough, I would like to try and see if we can find some tracks, because I think most of the animals are going to end up looking like the Birminghams at some point. Now, while I drift off and go and try and find Hukamuri, let's send you back to Taylor and see what she's doing. I think she's also doing a spotted birding this morning.
I know we've decided to take it up this morning, Tristan, following your suit yesterday, where we have a woodland kingfisher. Sorry, I just heard an interesting sound. No, it sounded like it reminded me of the sound of a leopard catching an Egyptian goose, like a pillow popping. That's exactly what it sounds like, but I don't know. I didn't hear any distress calls after that. But look at that position that woodland kingfisher is in. Focused. Looking at anything that moves. So it's just sitting up there perching, I'm sure warming itself up after a chilly night. And also waiting for some insects to move in the grass. Oh my goodness, that focus is amazing. I always say, imagine holding your body in that position. How much strength it must actually take. It's like what, I suppose, holding yourself on a pull-up bar. Just trying to, or like what Conrad was doing yesterday with the rings. What do you call that? A muscle up, says David. So a muscle up is when you use those exercising rings. Well, the gymnasts tend to use them. And, yes, you pull yourself up and do that. I feel like that is the equivalent of what that bird is doing right now. Is, in fact, just sitting there waiting, hoping that something is going to go. And then it's going to zip on down to the ground and catch it. And then probably fly back up to the same perch. Or maybe a more sturdy branch, especially if you've got a grasshopper in your beak that is flailing around trying to flee. You need something to bang it against, and I don't think that branch would really work very well. Oh, Rebecca, we cannot copy you. You are sounding very much like a robot, and we're only getting half of your communication. It's a very small branch. It's not a big bird, though. They don't weigh very much. Probably... No, Rebecca, we can't copy you. I don't know why. But all of a sardine, I can just hear it's something from Jared, but I cannot answer the question. Unfortunately, I just basically made out Jared. They must have exceptionally good eyesight as well. Well, I'm sure they're also using their hearing to a degree too to help pinpoint where these insects are in the grass. They're getting distracted now. But imagine that, trying to focus with your head down on the ground, but also watching for predators from above. Remember, birds like this are prey to many, many species. Goshawks, maybe falcons would go for something like this. Even an African harrier hawk, especially if they were raiding nests. Kingfisher chicks would definitely be on the cards. Beautiful birds, though. Especially when you have got the sun glaring back down on your feathers. Very pretty. Okay, well, we're going to carry on, though, because I can't hear what Rebecca's trying to say to me, and I know she's trying to talk to me. We should just move on a little bit further. Perhaps the radio gremlins will not be around the next corner. We shall see. I've also just been listening carefully to see if I can hear any movement in the lodge. Okay, now I can hear Rebecca. Okay, well, we're going to make our way down towards the dam. and have a little look and see if that juvenile greenback heron is still catching sticks. In the meantime, I'm going to send you to Brent, and I'm sure he's still with the Birminghams.
Well, I'm just saying good morning to some of the staff from Buffelshoek as they're heading out, it looks like, for a day in the village. Now, we are just behind Buffelshoek Dam. This is actually the first place we saw the evokers on bushwalk. Was just lying up in here after they stole that kill from the Inkahumas. Yes, right there at that very tree. But it's going to be interesting to see how long the Birmingham stay before, if there's any pressure in the south and they go skedaddling off to go chase other male lions, or because of this pressure from the evoker males in the north. I think they might hang around for a week or so, but only time will tell. Now, it's been nice. There's been lots of buffalo around, which will be great for the Birminghams, and it might keep them around for a little bit longer as well. Now, we found out that one of the reasons they were heading so far south is there's a very big herd of buffalo in that southern region on the Gabbros. There's some Gabbro soils down there, and there's a very big herd of buffalo, about 400 or 500, that sort of loop through that area constantly. Now, I'm going to be a little bit naughty, and I'm going to tell you what the guides down there, when we were down there, what we used to call that large herd of buffalo. We used to call it the large turd, because of course they just leave dung everywhere. So it was a little joke on the radio. I'll be following up on the large turd. Okay, so we're about to hit Cheetah Cut Line, and we are hoping to find any sign of Tandy coming across. There we go. Oh, it sounds like Taylor has figured out her communication issue, and she's at Chitwa with a Nile crocodile.
Not just one, we've got two. We've got Boris and Vladimir. Now, you can see them both. The one furthest away from us is Vladimir, and Vladimir is the boy. And then the one closest to us is Boris. Boris is a girl. But we know that there's a trend in the wild earth camp that we like to give the girl animals boys' names. I think when these crocodiles were named, no one was really certain as to the sexes. It can be quite difficult. But the reason why we know this is because Stefan, who used to be the general manager here at Chitwa, actually watched Borisette, Barina, whatever you want to call her now, make a nest and laid the eggs. So that's how we know that is the girl. And typically the males are, well, not typically, males are larger than the females. So that's what we're going to go on now, which is quite nice to see. And there's a clear size difference between the two. I would like to see Snappy 1 and Snappy 2. I didn't know there were two little crocs in here. It's quite cool that the crocodile population is growing. But as you can see, the light is not very nice. And we've got the Chitwa elephant fence, or the elephant wire, going across as well. So I just wanted to show you that the two of them are doing well, and that they're still very much in love. Well, as in love as a crocodile can be, I suppose. Hey. Anyways, let's go on a little bit further. Let's see what else we can find. Actually, David, before I even go, look at the white-faced whistling ducks on that little island. Sorry, I just realized, and they're such cool birds. Look at that. Very nice. I love the white-faced whistling ducks, and then also a blacksmith lapwing, who I think is not brave enough to take on all of those very pretty ducks. Looks like they're having a preening session at the moment. Of course, we know ducks and geese are gregarious. Oh, that's very sweet. That's quite nice. You don't often get to see ducks cleaning one another. Very cool. Very nice. Quack, 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 quack. Oh, I mean, that's not the sound they make. They make a whistling noise. That's why they're called white-faced whistling ducks. These are not daffy ducks. Anyways, Tristan has been searching far and wide for the last few days, and he's been deprived of spots. It seems as though this morning he's managed to get a dose of leopard spots.
Indeed we have. So we've just found, well, Aubrey just found little Hosana, and he is moving through what can only be described as the longest of long grass. And so he's just behind here somewhere. We did have a quick view of him, and then he started ambling along. There he is. So he's just moving a little bit in front of us. He should pop out on a nice little pathway straight ahead. So he's going to come out just on the left-hand side. Then he's looking as good as ever. So it's thank goodness we had little spots in our life, because we were starting to get into that situation where withdrawal symptoms were becoming a very real thing. The problem is the thickest grass in the world is where he's walking at the moment. So I've got to try and figure out a way to try and get to where he is, as well as not destroy the front of Jigger on what seems like a stump somewhere here. Oh, there it is. And that's the problem with grass like this, is you can't see stumps and you can't see holes, and there are a lot of both in this particular area. So I'm just going to try and follow the big pathway that we've got, because that's hopefully an area where things like elephants and hippos and buffalo will following. Now, I believe a lot of you are super excited that we've got Hosana. It's very, very cool, because he's coming out of Torchwood and he's coming into Djuma now and heading deeper in. Although I've lost him now. Where did he go? He was here somewhere. Hopefully we'll be able to find him. Just got to pay a little bit of attention to where I'm driving, because like I was saying, the grass is so long, I cannot see any stumps or holes or anything like that. And it makes it then a little bit more difficult to work out exactly where I'm driving. Also, I've got to be able to follow him at the same time, so just got to pay a bit of attention here. But you can see how long the grass is. It's over the top of the bonnets these days, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. It's amazing that we went from a situation where we had almost no grass in January to now having grass over the top of the bonnet. But he's somewhere in here on my right-hand side, should be. Where have you gone, little Hosana? Because if he lies down, we're going to lose him in the space of about 2 seconds. It's that thick in here. So my hay fever is going to take a punishment in this long grass as well. Hosana, where did you go? Craig, can you see him anywhere? Ah, there he is, right there. It's a bit of a problem when you're staring into the sun. It's not as easy, but there he comes. So you can see he's still got a roundish belly from his bushbuck kill that he had at Chitwa Dam, and I don't even know if he can see where he's going at the moment. He's just kind of plowing through the grass in the hope that maybe he disturbs something. So he's come right up to the front of the car, which is pretty typical for Hosana, and he's busy sniffing around. There's actually a big hole right to our right-hand side, and he almost seems to be smelling. I don't see any tracks going into this hole, but you never know. Maybe he's picking up something that we can't. They do have senses far beyond what ours are, and so it makes it a lot more difficult for us to know exactly what he's doing. But I think what he's trying to do is, walking in grass like this, is he's trying to sniff out maybe something like a duiker or a steenbok or warthogs, and then he can flush them and try and then chase them from there. So it's a very clever sort of tactic to do, and you can see his ears are perked up and he's very much the normal curious Hosana. Strangely enough, there's no buffalo today, so he has been following buffalo around all over the place, but today there are none. I have a funny feeling one day we're going to find Hosana with an aardvark kill. The way that he goes about business and the way that he kind of keeps looking around and he's always curious, I think one day we'll find him digging out an aardvark somewhere along the line. But there he goes. He keeps going and moving off, but he's looking magnificent, isn't he? He's in such good shape. Beautiful, beautiful individual. So really nice that he's still hung around, and the fact that he's kind of still here, even though we've had so much drama in our leopard world, is pretty amazing. Same with Tumba. The two of them still hanging around is absolutely incredible. But let's try and keep up with him, because in this long grass, as you saw just now, he disappears in a heartbeat, and so I don't want to get too far behind, because otherwise we're going to struggle to try and keep up with him at all. Let's just try and kind of go a little bit past this section. I'm just worried that there's a big hole. What's he found? He seems to have spotted something. I wonder if there's no scrub hare that was hiding in here somewhere. You see he's clambering through, and now he's jumped through and just about disappeared. So this is also why we're struggling to find leopard at the moment. You can see, look at that. There is a leopard, a fully grown male leopard. Well, not fully grown, but I mean a big male leopard in amongst that grass, and you cannot see a single thing. It just gives you an idea of the sort of shadows and the camouflage that these leopards possess. Let's try and carry on and just see. got a little stump that we need to go over. So I'm just trying to see where else we can go, because I don't want to cut Aubrey's view off. Aubrey's obviously got a view and he's got guests with him, so I don't want to cut him off, but they can go past and we'll just try and figure another way through and try and keep up with him. But while we try and do that, let's send you back across to Taylor McCurdy, who is still messing around at Chitwa Dam and now has a whole bunch of hippos.
I feel like that's all you can do here. Listen to the hippos singing their beautiful songs first thing in the morning. Or listening to the Egyptian geese shout about how much they dislike the hippos because they're so noisy, although they can't talk. It's like a few people in camp. I always get told that I'm noisy and loud, and I'm like, hey now, hey? Make sure your plate is clean as well. And you're not a culprit of making noises. Some of us make noise very late at night, others make noise early in the morning. I'm one of the people that make noise early in the morning and will wake the entire camp up. Because why should I? Why should I have to get up so early, and then there's some people in camp that can sleep? They must also get up. Come and join us for a cup of coffee. Anyways, hippos have been up all night long. They'll be the ones that make noise right through the night. In fact, and David, look at our friend the Kingfisher. I think he's coming to fly right in front of you. Check it out. Oh, look at this. It's going to hover right here. Skimming across the surface of the water. Come back. Come back, Kingfisher. Oh, wow. Oh, man. I was hoping it was going to come and hover right in front of the car. There it is. It is hovering. No, make up your mind. Oh, popped into the water. I don't think that Kingfisher really knows what it's doing. It's like it's just taking its wings out for a spin for the first time and hasn't quite got control of it just yet. But it is always quite nice here at the dam. Oh, hello. There is a beautiful three-banded plover there. Such lovely little birds. Now, talking about birds, we've actually been doing quite a bit of birding this morning. Maureen, you've actually just asked about if there's any birds that migrate from the States to South Africa. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I can't think of even one, but I could be mistaken. That's a serious possibility. Maybe we can ask Brent and Tristan what they think as well, if that's the case. Oh, there's stay here, Kingfishers. We just want to watch you. They're just such beautiful birds. If you ever come on safari, this is something you've got to sit and do. Find yourself a bit of water. Find a pied kingfisher, well, hopefully there'll be one at the dam, and watch them. The way that they hover over the water is honestly just incredible, and then with such precision, dive straight down. It's pretty spectacular. Sadly, all our hippo friends are far away from us today, so it's not ideal. I mean, normally they come right up to the cars, and they're down here. Well, they look like they're coming closer, David, those ones. That's the pod in the corner over there with the beautiful rocks, is where all the little hippos are today. They've ventured out far apart. Now, it's been quite interesting, spending so much time with the hippos, is that normally what happens is that they're in lots of different family groups like what we're seeing now. I can see how many groups of hippo. 1, 2, 3, 4 different groups of hippos. And the other day we only had 2 groups. There was a huge bulk of them sort of all together, which was quite nice. And that's actually when we were having a lot of conflict. The little ones were running around. They were having a great time. But some of the adult hippos were not happy, I think, with the fact that they're separate pods that all come together. I think the bulls were having a bit of an argument because we kept seeing 2 constantly, reversing out of the water, putting their bottoms to the sky and swishing their tail around as they defecate, which we know is a sort of a territorial signal. To basically say, this is where my family is, don't come near my girls, and I won't cross your barrier. Well, there's a little one too, just popped its head out. And they were being so curious the other day too, coming right up to the car with the hippo. Not with the hippo, with the elephant. And that's the sound that everybody wants to hear, along with a lion roaring, an African fish eagle. What else? What other sounds do people want to hear? And a hyena whooping. And this was a great sound. Oh, Rebecca's so sweet. She's obviously trying to suck up to me this morning. She says she wants to hear my voice every single day. Now I will be sitting quiet for the next 2 years. Who am I kidding? I can't keep quiet for even 30 seconds. Oh, goodness. So it looks like, I think the guests are going to be having breakfast in the garden today. This looks quite nice. I'm just having a little look around, watching all the wonderful staff get ready for their day, and I'm just seeing some tables being set up. I think they're tables. I hope we're not zooming on anything inappropriate. Oh, it does look like they're setting the tables up, all the white tablecloth. Maybe that's Mornay. I used to work with Mornay down at Sabi. He's a great bartender, waitress. Not a waitress, because Mornay is a man. he's a fantastic waiter. He really, really is. You will never have an empty glass with that man, and your plates will never sit on the table for too long, and he makes the greatest recommendations as well. He's a really nice guy, and a fantastic sense of humour as well. Goodness, he had us in giggles. Whenever I was hosting guests, he'd come in and steal my thunder. It was a bit ridiculous, actually. We should get him on the show. Hi, little Hippo. You are very sweet. It is, they are coming closer, and I don't know if it's Mom's doing. I think it's this little calf that is always quite curious. Remember, when you're so little and young, everything in the world is so interesting. From different sights, different smells, and all those wonderful things. So I don't blame the hippo for wanting to come over to see what are the strange sounds coming from this big vehicle. As you know, Tristan is with the young Prince Hosana, so let's go back across to him and see what he's doing.
Well, he's still busy moving around in the grass, and it's almost like he spotted something just now because he kind of froze and went into stalk mode a little bit. But now he's just kind of sitting and still thinking about what his next move is. And he's not in a very pleasant place at the moment. He's in very long grass, and I'm hoping he's going to push just a little further to the west of where we are now, because then it gets onto Batterley or Drakensberg Road, and it should be nice and open from there. In fact, we're not very far from where Tandy and the cub once had a kill that the Birminghams then went up and took, and, well, Tinyo in particular, not the Birminghams, and stole. So we're right near that tree, so not too far from at least a little bit more of an open section. Now, Julie, he's probably, at the moment, it's very difficult to say because we don't know where Hukumuri is. I know Hukumuri was seen last night by the guys in the western sector, so around Arathusa, and he was moving towards Djuma. So at the moment, theoretically, Hukumuri could be quite close or he could be quite far. It just depends which way Hukumuri ended up going. He might have turned south towards Hofmans, he might have gone back into Simbambili or EP, or he could be on Djuma itself, and then Hosana would be fairly nearby. But the thing is that it's very Hukumuri hasn't actually come this far yet, so he's still in a safe zone at the moment. You see, look, he's still stalking something. I wonder what's moving around in here. Something's piquing his interest, and we know with Hosana it could be absolutely anything. It could be a mouse, it could be a tortoise, it could be a monitor lizard. He just doesn't stop with anything. He's always busy, this little cat, and always trying to find food somewhere. He loves his meals, and so I'm sure after a day of not eating, he's now going to try and find food. But it is amazing how quickly they disappear in this grass. The grass is so long that when they get their heads down like that, you really can't see much at all. It becomes just a blur of spots that kind of moves behind the grass itself. So it's no wonder that we are struggling a little bit when it comes to finding these guys. It's not an easy situation at all at the moment. Now, I'm going to just try and reposition ourselves a little bit. There should be a little gap. I can just see a few blades of grass moving here and there. So we'll try and just get a little further forward. Oh, there, hello, boy. Are you going to stand up for us? There we go. And you said we couldn't see him nicely, so he's just going to pose for all of you to make sure that you can see him in his best. And look how good he's looking. You see his little dewlap that's starting as well, so he's getting a little fold of skin around the neck area that's starting to come down. And now we're going to go up onto the tree and sniff around there. At least he's posing quite nicely now. He's kind of up and out of the grass, which makes a big difference. It's nice when he finds he's kind of fallen over trees. There we go. Hello, boy. Nope, and down we go again. it's not very long that they sit on these things. They use them for a bit of leverage and just to try and get a bit of height advantage, and then they look around and then off he goes. But you can see he's sniffing all over the place, so I wonder what he's picking up. Maybe he's picking up the scent of a little steenbok or a duiker that's been hanging around. It could very well be. They often do find those antelope by using this technique where they try and sniff under bushes and smell and try and scent as much as possible just to try and see exactly where they're going. You'll find that this technique can work because they'll pick up little baby steenbok and duiker that are hiding under the bushes, and then they flush them. And sometimes, with those little animals, is their mechanism for safety is to try and stay still, and so it allows the leopards to actually get very close before they'll try and bolt, and it's a successful tactic to do. We see Tandy doing it a lot as well, where she walks like this through the thickets and literally is just trying to disturb anything as she goes and flushes them out. The dogs do it quite often as well. Good, so let's try and just keep up with him. He's still going away from us at the moment. So we're going to try and just maneuver through this long grass and these thickets. One has to be quite careful. There's lots of fallen over stumps all over the place, and when you get this round leaf teak, you often get little stumps in amongst the round leaf teak, so you got to be a bit careful about the way that you drive. Let's check. Where did he go? He was on my left hand side moving through, so I just want to try and get around him a little bit. Where is he gone now? He's hiding from us. Right, now while we try and kind of get back to wherever Hosana has disappeared to now, let's send you back across to Brent Leo Smith and find out where he's going to go now that he's left the Birminghams, and whether or not he's going to try and see if he can maybe find Tandy.
Well, unfortunately, no sign of Tandy crossing back from Torchwood. And now with Husana in that area where her tracks were last seen yesterday, I think she might try avoid that area for a little bit. So she might be staying in the east. Hopefully she proves me wrong. So we're going to do a quick swing by Buffelshoek waterhole, and then we're going to head almost due south and check the areas from Treehouse Dam down towards the western sections of Djuma, see if there's any sign of Hokamuri or Shidulu. Now, I think Shidulu crossed out the tracks Tristan was following earlier this morning, but hopefully she's on a big loop and she comes back in the southwestern corner. But I thought it's always prudent to check around Buffelshoek. You never know, it could be Ellie's, and Djuma might have snuck in, so it's always a good area to have a look. We've had so many fantastic sightings over the years around Buffelshoek waterhole. Lots of hyena tracks, warthog tracks, but no sign of either of those creatures yet this morning. So apart from the lions, in terms of living beings, we've seen very, very little. Well, it's been the odd bird about, but there's not many mammals this morning. But of course, what a wonderful way to start a Sunday after those quiet cat days with lion and leopard. And who knows, maybe Taylor will have some luck with the Styx Pride or with Kuchava on Chitwa. Might be worth also checking that northwestern section of Djuma, because with the sound of the Birminghams back, it could bring the Nkahumas back onto Djuma as well. Oh, hello guys. Oh, I love these little things. They are absolutely adorable. So we've seen the largest carnivore in southern Africa. Now we're looking at the smallest one. Little dwarf mongoose. They are absolutely wonderful. Now, they're very busy little creatures, especially at this time of the morning. They've been sunning themselves for the last half an hour, 45 minutes, at whichever den they chose to sleep in last night, and now they're going to be out and about, scurrying around, scratching about, digging up all sorts of wonderful treats, well, mongoose treats. And it wouldn't be so much of a treat for us, but grubs insects, scorpions, even little snakes. Oh, look at them out in the road there. It looks like a sub-adult, a little one. One to the left a little bit. There we go, those two. There was the little one there to the left of that one. Oh, we're going to go say hello. No? We're going to go say hello, or we're going to go dig in the dung. And they're still sort of waking up, enjoying the sun. They are truly adorable, as Zeffie says. Now, Zeffie, I'm going to tell you something about dwarf mongoose which will make you think they are even more adorable. If they could possibly be more adorable. Now, dwarf mongoose have a very, very unique social structure. So it is actually quite similar in terms of the social structure to something like a wild dog. There's an alpha pair that do all the breeding, and the rest of the business, and that's the collective noun for mongoose, will help with the rearing of the young. Now, however, if one of the alpha pair dies and a new alpha has to come up through the ranks from one of the beta individuals, they have a very unique way of sorting it out. Most animal species, that would mean a fight almost to the death and expulsion for that position. However, with dwarf mongoose, it's the opposite. It is literally a love-off. Who can be the most loving? They lick each other till they look like they've been dunked in a bottom of water, and whoever can lick and love the best becomes the alpha. Isn't that wonderful? Very, very different from most animals out there. Now, they have quite an interesting relationship with the hornbills. Here he comes. Shoop. So, that hornbill's disappeared in there. So, yellow-billed hornbills have quite an interesting relationship, a symbiotic relationship with the mongoose. Now, the mongoose will disturb different insects that the hornbill can catch on the wing, and the hornbill acts as a second lookout for them. So they're both able to benefit. The hornbills get the odd free meal, and the mongoose get an early warning system from the hornbills that are able to sit higher up in the trees. And he's up a bit there now, Sabi's in the thickets a bit higher. Now, I didn't quite catch the name. Someone was asking if they were stinky like ferrets. Not nearly as stinky as ferrets, but they can be indigo. There we go. They can be quite smelly, but not nearly as stinky as ferret. Most mongoose species are quite prodigious groomers, and so there's a lot of cleaning and licking and whatnot that goes on between the different individuals. Hello, hornbill. So you'll often find hornbills above the mongoose, following them as they forage. They do have very striking eyes, the hornbills. Very, very, very pretty. This is so cool. And you can see they've got lovely long eyelashes. Ladies, you might be a bit jealous of the hornbill's eyelashes. Now, if you watch that hornbill for long enough, you will see that they do blink very quickly. There we go. And Weedy was wondering, do they blink? Yes, they do. Now, almost all animals will blink. They need to keep the eye moisturized. Of course, unless you're a fish. Oh, there's another little baby mongoose about to run in front of us. There's a big one. That's just scuttled across the road. The baby's just... Oh, there it is. There. Little one. Well, not a baby, but a sub-adult. Oh, he's so cute. Now, very small babies will actually be carried with the business while they are moving. He's got an itchy bum. Oh, now dwarf mongoose is one of the many mongoose species we found in the Sabi Sands. Kalena was wondering that, and let me just think now. So, oh, you can hear a little argument. going to see if we can just get a little bit further forward, see if we can see what they're arguing about. Now, the second most common mongoose species in this part of the Sabi Sands is a solitary mongoose species called a slender mongoose. We also get banded mongoose, white-tailed mongoose, grey mongoose, water mongoose, and there's a report of Salu mongoose being seen in the Sabi Sands. I think someone was out on a late night game drive and was having a lot of late night festivities when they saw the Salu mongoose. I don't believe they occur in the Sabi Sands. However, there is a report. Salu mongoose will occur further north in the Kruger. Unfortunately, we can't get another view of those little mongoose. And there's a heron, it looks like, sitting on the Buffelshoek waterhole. So even though we might not be seeing lions and leopards at Buffelshoek, there's still always lots to look at. So it looks like a grey heron up on the wall, enjoying the morning sun. Oh, but quickly across to Tristan.
Well, Hosana is on a serious mission. He's all of a sudden picked up the scent of something and is not stopping. His nose is to the ground the whole time, and he's going back and forth and looking up into the trees. So I wonder if there wasn't a kill somewhere here that he's now trying to find himself. I don't know if maybe Tandy, you never know, it could be possible. I'm going to try and just creep forward a little bit and see. The problem is he's changed direction completely. He's now going more in an easterly direction away from us. So he should just be here on our left-hand side. Can you see him, Craig? Okay, so he's moving away from where we are. So I just want to try and get into a situation where we can actually see him, but it's not really ideal terrain at all. You can see the grass is so long that all you can see is the grass wiggling as he's moving. Oh, there, did you see he just jumped? He pounced on something. What was that? I just saw him pouncing. I don't know what he managed to grab, but you can see the grass is still moving as he's walking away from us. So let's try and just get up to where he is, because it's very difficult in here to actually negotiate this whole section. There we go, over that. Hosana, where are you off to and what are you doing? It's difficult to follow him this morning because he literally is not keeping a direction at all. He's been west, he's been north, he's been south, he's been east, and just kind of bouncing around all over the place. And he's walking fast as well. That's what's making it difficult because of how quickly he's moving. Try not to take my legs off in the process of doing all of this. Now I've lost where he's gone. I don't know where he went. The last I saw him was moving around this section here, so I don't know if he's kind of gone through the thickets and just kind of moved off, but let's try and see if we can find him again and see exactly where he has gone. But while I do that, let's send you back across to Brent Leo Smith, who has found himself, well, another type of predator that also likes to skulk about, but this time in the fringes of water.
Well, the heron flew off but landed behind us, but it seems like the little the little hippo bulls have grown in number since yesterday, and there's now 4. Yesterday there were only 2. There's the predator Tristan was talking about, the grey heron, looking for some breakfast. But as I said, there's a few hippos. There were 2 in here yesterday. There's now 4 today, and I'm still certain they're all little boys, trying to avoid the big dominant bulls in the larger water holes where all the females are. Underwater he goes. It is very peaceful here at the Buffelshoek waterhole this morning. I love the hippo little ear wiggle. Now Taylor was comparing herself to as being as noisy as a hippo early in the morning. I would have gone more with a Hardy-Dar ibis or a Natal Franklin and squawking away early in the morning, personally, if I was describing Taylor's morning personality. We're quite lucky, I think. Well, apart from the odd cameraman, almost all the presenters have got morning, are very loud and boisterous in the morning. It's a good thing to be happy in the morning if you do our line of work. Now, hippos have a huge array of defenses, which is what Proud Cat Mama is asking about, and particularly how do they protect their babies in and out of the water. In the water, they don't need nearly as much protection. The water is protection in itself, but the babies will normally ride on mom's back or stay very, very close to mom, and she'll protect them with those massive gaping jaws that they have. Hello, we've got a visitor, Seb.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want? Now, when we move out of the way, in favourite, it's so close. There he is. In favourite sundown, he's under the car. He's actually gone under the car. This happened to Dave and I when we were watching the Lions the other morning. He's come out on the other side now. He's too close. So in favourite sundowner and coffee spots, people tend to eat their rusks and little bits drop. And as soon as you spend a longer period of time in one of these spots, certain animals, particularly the hornbills, starlings, have learnt, and even squirrels in some cases have learnt, that if they come have a look while you're there or after you've gone, they might get a free snack. Is he still there?
Yeah,
He's still too close, unfortunately. He's gone behind. Well, there we go. That's an interesting little one. But let's carry on with the hippos. So outside of the water, the baby hippos will stay very, very close to mom, and she defends them with those massive teeth. Now, sometimes baby hippos get taken by lions purely because of how many lions there are. So certain lions will distract mom while the others go for the baby. But they do defend their young with great vigor. Well, all quiet here. We're going to leave the hippos to continue resting up after their long night out of grazing. Oh, we've got some thickneys flying in, but quickly before we move on. Water thickneys. Now, they used to be called dikkops in South Africa, and dikkop, basically translated from Afrikaans, means thick head, and it was because people considered them to be quite silly or stupid, and that's from people driving around at night. And that's because you used to get blinded by the car lights, so they'd never fly, and they'd often be hit by vehicles. So that's how they got the name dikkop, or thickhead, dummy. But they are on no means dumb, and as soon as you just dim your lights, oh, Hornbill, you nearly flew into me, cheeky. Suddenly just appeared and nearly landed, or nearly flew into my face. There he is up there, cheeky Hornbill. Well, Seb, I think we better make our escape before we get attacked by this yellow-billed hornbill. Oh, dangerous times here at the Buffelshoek waterhole. Okay, well, I'm hoping to find some spots myself this morning. In the meantime, let's go to Tristan, who's still following the little chief through the long grass.
We are trying to. He's not making it very easy. He's kind of slinking through this grass. The pace at which he can move, as opposed to us, is just absolutely amazing to watch. He kind of just slinks around, and he disappears in 2 seconds. He's right in front of us, but all you can see is just grass moving, and this little leopard kind of every now and then pops its tail or its head up, and that's how you spot him. But otherwise, it's near impossible. Careful, Craig. That's going to hurt anybody that comes near it. Ow. Hang on. One to the leg. Nothing like a thorn tree to the shin to wake you up in the morning. Are we even going to be able to get through here? I don't think so. I don't know how we're going to do this. Hosana, every time we kind of link away, there he is. He's just in front of us, actually. He's coming straight back towards No, don't go that way now, Hosana. Every time we kind of link away, he stops right out in the open. As soon as we come back to us again, he does this, where he tries to kind of hide away from us. But let's try just get back one more time. Now, let's just try and get around here quickly. We should be able to get a view of him. I don't think he's going to provide us with the best view, but we should be able to get another view here shortly. We just got to get around all of this thicket and just see. The problem is the kind of areas that we're driving is so full of aardvark burrows. Oh, there we go. You're going to be out in the open for us for a little bit. There we go. Hello, Hosana. You are on a serious walkabout this morning. I don't know what he's trying to find, but his nose is glued to the ground, and you can see how fast he's walking. So, First Lady, I mean, leopards, I don't know if it's a photographic memory as much as it's a scent memory. They'll obviously recognize certain areas, and they'll be able to get into a situation where they can get to certain places by a memory of sight. But I think scent is a big part in them mapping their area and mapping where they're actually going and how they go about it. Now, I'm pretty sure we've got a big branch stuck in our car somewhere because it's making a very bad noise, but that's okay. It's as long as we just don't turn too extreme to the right. But Hosana, there's a nice little mound coming up, so I'm kind of hoping that he's going to go on top of the mound, but I don't think so. The way that he's walking around today, it's almost as if he's rather trying to find some sort of kill that maybe some other leopard has made. I don't know. It's kind of, that's the way it looks. It doesn't look like he's hunting something. It's more like he is smelling a kill. He looks up into the trees every now and then, and he goes from pretty much from big marula to big marula. So I was hoping he was going to go up onto this mound for us and just sit for a little bit, but it doesn't look like he's going to do so. It looks like he's going to continue on his search for whatever it is that he's looking for. There he goes onto a nice big game path now, but at least we can see him a bit better. And it's amazing how quick they walk when they like this. And you can see, imagine trying to track Hosana today, how his tracks would have just gone like this all over the place, and the quickness at which he's walked would have made it extremely difficult to have found this cat for any semblance of time. You would have had to have been lucky to bump into him on foot. It would have been really, really, very, very tough. So it goes to show why sometimes, we track these leopards and we think, oh, we're right here, and you'll hear a bird alarm call, or you'll hear something alarm call, and you'll think, yes, we're close, and then you realize actually just how fast they move, that you sometimes are way behind, but you just kind of trying to keep catching up, and they just keep moving ahead of you. So it's a good lesson as to how quickly our boy can move. And he's now changed direction again. We were going east. He's now completely turned around, and we're now heading west. And he's kind of walking with purpose deeper into Djuma again, which is good news. So I wonder what he sniffed. Maybe he sniffed out Tandy and cub with a kill. I don't know. That's maybe what he's looking for, because the way that he's walking and the way that he keeps going to every single big tree and sniffing around at the base of them indicates to me that he is aware that there's somebody else around here, or some sort of food item that he could potentially get. Now, let's go around this thicket. So I'm just trying to keep an eye on him while negotiating this area. Remember, there's a lot of aardvark burrows here. Jeanette's Hosana is older by about 6 months, and bigger is also Hosana at this stage. Tumba will be a big boy, but he's 6 months behind, so he's got a long way to go. And 6 months is a long time in a young leopard's life. They grow quickly, and they tend to put on weight quite fast. So Hosana is still the bigger of the two, but funny enough, in foot size, Tumba might actually edge Hosana in terms of his track. They have a very similar size track, the two boys. It's quite interesting to actually see the two of them kind of walking in similar areas, because it's almost, I don't think many people would be able to tell the difference between them. In fact, Tumba, the only thing, is maybe slightly bigger than Hosana's footprint. But I last saw him there. He's walking kind of parallel with us. So I'm going to try and get to a point where, here we go, he might come straight towards us from here if we just stop. Let's see. He's directly behind that green bush over there, Craig. So I wonder if he's not going to pop out at some point. Let's see. No, he's going to come keep coming further towards where we are by the looks of things. So let's just try and get around this thicket. And like I say, this is a bad place. I came here with Tandy once and there was aardvark burrows everywhere and not pleasant to drive in. And that was back when there was no grass. Now with grass, it's going to be a little bit more kind of, not dangerous, but it's going to have to be a bit more cautious about the way that we're doing things. Also got to try and stop having things like this poke me in the sides and catch on my earpiece cable, because we know how many of those are broken, but that's what does the damage to the earpiece cables. If you're wondering why we break them every now and then, it's because these things catch on the cable itself, and then as you go, so that then, you know, pulls the cable and breaks it. They're quite thin little cables, and so you've got to be a bit careful with them. Whew, Hosana, you're making us work this morning. I feel like I'm exercising trying to keep up with him. It's constant turning and moving and shifting and changing, and let's try and see. Looks like he's actually gone stationary here, that he's not moving too much now. Let's have a look. I wonder if he maybe found himself a little meal here. Let's have a look. This is where I last saw him, and now he's kind of just, yeah, he's moving still. So the guys are saying to me that he's still moving, which is good news. So if we go back a little bit, we should get him. Sorry, Craig. He should pop out there somewhere. Clearly not now. Oh, there he comes. So you just see him kind of walking out a little bit and making out his spots between all the long grass. Is really not that easy, but there is a little bit of semblance of a leopard moving around. It's amazing the camouflage on these guys. Now, yes, you can see he's down the whole time. Where is he and what is he doing? Interesting. I don't know what he's up to, but he's definitely following with something for sure. Alright, let's just go back and try and keep up with him. Now, I believe Taylor's Shame is having a major amount of gremlins at the moment, so she's struggling a little bit to get any semblance of signal, and I think Brent is also not in the best area. Now, our car doesn't sound great either in terms of turning. It seems like we've got a major log or something that's stuck in our turning circle. Now, also, I can't go anywhere. We kind of blocked in by two different vehicles, so we're gonna just try and wait for them and let them carry on. Come on, Jigger. There we go. So sometimes Jigger is a little bit of a handful when it comes to off-roading. Definitely not in the same league as Rusty. Rusty's far more powerful than what Jigger is. Now, I think Hosana is just lying somewhere here. I can't see him at the moment. He's in this long grass to my right-hand side, so somewhere in that general vicinity over there. And maybe found himself a little bit of shade, and he's going to try and rest and lie down. I can maybe think about moving into that area. Let's just try and see. The problem with him is that he moves so much that you never know where he's going to go. So I'll try and just kind of move back a little bit here, and then we can just try and maybe point our nose towards Taxon, and maybe we'll get lucky with being able to kind of see him somewhere here, because Aubrey's going to go that side. Looks like there might be a massive hole in front of me, but we'll risk it. So he is lying down, which means that if we just get in here somewhere, we might be able to see a bit of him at least. Now, Sky, I suppose sometimes you do worry about driving over one of our cats in long grass like this. The thing is, though, is the cats are very nimble, and so they'll get out your way long before you even would touch them. I think it's more you worry about driving over things like tortoises and millipedes and snakes and those kind of things is a lot more of a risk than the cats. So you've got to just take it slow, and generally, though, if you move fairly slowly while you do it, most of the time everything else will actually get out of your way and will move out of the way of the tires. They feel the vibration of this big vehicle coming, and they start to get out the way. So as long as you're not rushing and moving too fast, generally it will be okay. But finally, our little prince has decided to settle down and to just take it easy, which is good news because it's been a bit of a struggle trying to keep up with him. And at least now we get to appreciate his beauty a little bit more. Just now it was all about just trying to keep up with him more than anything else. But very cool to see. And I mean, look at that camouflage. You can see why they can be such successful hunters when you're in long grass like this. And any antelope that came past, if he had to go completely flat down with his ears pinned back, it would be so tough to spot him in grass like this. So hopefully he's going to kind of settle down and we'll have him again for this afternoon, which would be nice. Next, no, I don't think Hosana's marking his territory just yet. I don't think he quite has grasped the concept of having his own territory. I think he's just happy at the moment to be moving around and just kind of finding food and doing his thing. He has scent marked in places, but I don't think he's set up a territory as per se just yet. The good thing for him, though, is that Tingana is still clinging on enough that maybe, just maybe, he might be able to grow enough to claim that territory that Tingana's in at the moment. So just kind of squeeze between Hukamuri and Quarantine and Djuma and make sure that he kind of just takes this little Chitwa southeastern Djuma area, a little bit of Little Gowrie, and just that's how he's going to start, and hopefully then we'll try and expand from there, much like Quarantine did. It's a very similar thing to what Quarantine did. So he's not really marking and actively patrolling a territory yet. He's kind of just moving within his home range, but he is every now and then he'll kind of mark somewhere and spray and so I suppose slowly but surely he is trying to set himself up, but he's still a long way from that. I mean, just remember, he's only 2 years old, which is a very young boy and still got a long way to go, although there are some enigmas that happen. There's a male down in the south called White Dam Male, and he's 2.5 and mating and doing his thing. So it is possible that Hosana could be setting up, but I think it's a little on the early side for him to be actually getting getting a territory to speak of as yet. Are you now going to move again, Hosana? Have you decided that the grass is itchy and that there's too much of it, maybe? Yep, there we go. So all of that for him just to get up and start moving once again. Now you can see he's going to come right past us, so I'm just going to let him kind of move in that direction, and then he's going to ghost through this little long grass and carry on. Now I'm pretty sure that this cat is going to keep moving for most of the morning. It's great because he's not a sleepy cat. At least he's moving around, but it's going to make life quite tough for us from here. Here is, at least it looks like it might open up a little bit more, and as he heads back towards sort of Drakensberg and Mamba Road, which is where we're heading at the moment, it does open out. There's a nice open clearing, so maybe he can find himself a nice little mound or something to go and lie on for us. But I don't see him going out. Maybe he's just decided to lie down right in the shade of this tree, which is right here, so we're going to have to just wait for the other vehicles to position themselves. But he's lying literally on the other side of these round leaf teaks and is just sitting and waiting. Probably he's found himself some nice shade that he can spend some time in. So for now, we're just going to have to be patient, let the other vehicles settle down, and we'll have to then try and find a position of our own in order to be able to see him. But for now, I don't know how much we're actually going to see of little Hosana. Maybe need to get out of Tax's way because I see he's getting stuck on a stump that we went over. So I'm just going to try and get out of Tax's way. There we go. So you can reverse. Now, let's see. Maybe we can get some semblance of a view. There we go. We can. So he's just moved himself a little bit, but so you can just see his spot behind the bush there. He's just decided, I think, that this is going to be a better shady spot where he can lie and just take it easy. You can see he's starting to groom now, so maybe I spoke too soon and he is going to have a little nap. But we'll just see how it plays out while we do that. Let's send you over to Brent Leo Smith, who I believe is on his way towards Chitwa, and I think he might have a little surprise for you.
Well, unfortunately, Taylor has had to go back to camp to try sort out a tech issue with her aerial, so we have to thank Taylor McCurdy for the next leopard of the morning. Isn't this exciting? So we've got Husana already, and now we're going to go see Tingana. So here we come. Oh, I've just seen a friend of mine, James Baizan. Used to be a tracker with me at Londo's, he's on that side. And oh, those of you who want to see what my little brother looks like, here we go. Hello, Dylan. Hello, Dylan. There he is. Look, he's blushing already, Dill. Look here. It's blushing. That's my little brother, everyone who was wondering. Okay, let's go try see Tingana now. And we're just going to wait for the vehicle to move out of the way, and then we're going to pop in there. There we go. There we go. Hello, big boy. There we go. Resting in the shade of a terminalia. I can't see how well fed he is. And he's looking quite well fed, I think. Last time we saw him, he was stalking waterbuck. But it is very, very warm. So I think most of his movement is done for the day. There we go. It's been over the last 2 days have been quite dry with cats, and we've already had Hosana, the Birminghams, and now Tingana this morning. Oh, he's looking like he's getting comfortable, settling in for the morning. Lots of nice shade around here. He probably won't move too far during the day. Now there's a little pan not too far away, so there's a good spot for a drink. He's actually quite close to the boundary with Djuma as well. So you can see how well that leopard's camouflage works as Sebastian zooms out. There we go. Sleepy kitty. Now, the temperature is getting quite warm quite quickly today. I think today's going to be quite a bit hotter than yesterday, and which means a lot of these animals are only going to start getting mobile quite late this afternoon, and they've already gone down quite early this morning. Now, at the moment, he's snoozing quite heavily. I don't know how active he's been this morning. Top Mod is asking about hunting strategies, and do leopards mostly hunt at night like lions? Yes, they do. They are mostly nocturnal, but all the predators are opportunistic. So if there is a slight chance of an impala or anything wanders close enough to him during the day, he definitely would not pass up on that opportunity. They are true opportunists, all the big cats, all the predators in fact. So if something happened to wander close to him, even if it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, he would make an attempt. Isn't this very pleasant? We can hear some rattling testiculars in the distance. Tweet, 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 tweet. It's quite warm. Very, very warm today. Sean is asking about Tingana's condition. He wasn't looking too well a few weeks ago. When I saw him a couple of nights ago, he was looking fine. Maybe not quite the condition he was once in his prime, but he is definitely looking better. He is an old male leopard, but at the moment he's still got a safe territory. There doesn't seem to be too much pressure from the east or from the south to the to the east is quarantine. To the south is probably Kunuma in Mala Mala. So at the moment, as long as Hukamuri doesn't keep pushing, he'll be okay. But he is getting old, and it's probably within the next year is going to start behaving a bit like Mvula and sneaking about and trying to avoid the next dominant males that come into this area. Nice and warm today. Sebastian says he's baking. Quite jealous of Tingana's little shady spot there. Lindsay, since we've seen Hosana and Tingana this morning, is asking, is Tingana still fairly tolerant of Hosana? I'm afraid I haven't been back long enough and we haven't seen them together for a while. So I think you should probably ask Tristan that question, or Taylor. They might have a better idea. But I think possibly still quite... my brother is trying to pull tongues at me, so I'll just embarrass him live. It's much easier than trying to respond. So he is quite tolerant. I would guess he's still quite tolerant of Hosana. I'm just going to move forward a little bit. So one of the other Chitwa, there we go. My brother says he is very tolerant of Hosana. I'm just going to move forward a tiny bit so one of the other Chitwa vehicles can also get a good view. And if Dylan does anything silly, we can swing the camera onto him. Well, as I say, Tristan will probably have a better idea of how tolerant Hosana or Tingana is of Hosana. So let's go ask Tristan, who's still with Hosana.
Well, the answer to that is that he is pretty tolerant at the moment. It's a situation where Hosana is moving around Tingana all the time. They have been seen together, and so I would say he is very tolerant at this stage. Now, I'm going to just reposition Craig, because otherwise we're not going to see anything in the way that he's positioned himself. So let's just get back here quickly. So he's up and moving again, and almost looked like he was stalking something and then just decided to stop. I don't know why he's doing that, but he kind of stalks a little bit and then stops and stalks a little bit and stops. And I don't know if it's maybe something small in the grass like little button quails that he's going after, or maybe it's something like a scrub hare that he's busy chasing, but he's definitely kind of interested in something, and then he just sits down and takes it easy. It's starting to get very hot, so I think also what happens is he gets into the sun and then realizes, hang on a second, why am I hunting in the sun? Let me try and find some shade rather. But look at that expression. Isn't that not the cutest thing? He's the funniest cat. This definitely must win for the most character, that's for sure. He is all over the show and really does provide some incredible behavior, stuff that a lot of us, while we have witnessed in small doses in cats, he just exudes all of these funny little attributes like following buffalo around, and also his complete boldness in front of other leopards. He just doesn't care. Even if Tingana wasn't tolerant of him, he kind of just walks up to Tingana and makes him tolerant by flopping down next to him and just kind of giving him those big puppy eyes and just saying, Dad, I'm here. I'm not really a threat at this stage. You just take it easy. And it's amazing actually to watch the kind of relationship between the two of them. Keisha, it's possible that Hosana and Tingana would come to blows. I mean, Tingana is starting to age now, and Hosana is obviously starting to get a flood of hormones in the form of testosterone, and he's going to want to push and become dominant. I just don't know if Tingana is going to hold on long enough for Hosana to be the one to push him out. He might. It's going to be interesting to see, but it would have to be another year, I would say, until Hosana is really ready to mount a serious challenge for a proper territory in these areas. So they might come to blows, but I think it's more likely that, quarantine and Tingana, where are you going? You can't come this way. Now I'm in your way, and I feel bad, but you decided to come this way. You had lots of places to go. So you can see he's kind of just coming to say hello to all of you. I think he's missed everybody. He's been a little bit on his own sort of path these last few weeks and kind of doing all kinds of things, and so we haven't spent much time with him. So maybe he's just missed everyone and has decided to come say hello. So he's come around the back of the car now, and he's just sitting here right behind Craig, really kind of sniffing about and just taking it very easy. I think he's actually too close for Craig even to be able to film him. He's literally by the back right tire at the moment, and he's going to just slink past us and kind of carry on and go off behind that little thicket. So we'll just try and kind of keep up with him and keep moving as he does. He should pop out just here on my right hand side. So now while I kind of just keep up with him and see what he gets up to, no, he's now decided he's going a different way. So while we try and work out which way Hosana wants to go, let's send you back across to Brent Leo Smith with his dad and see what his dad is up to and whether his dad is any more as agile as what Hosana is being this morning.
Yes, Tristan, yes, you're getting a bit confused there. Now, as you can see, there's absolutely nothing happening here. Tingana is completely flat, and there are quite a few vehicles waiting to come into this sighting. So what we're going to do is we're going to give other people a chance to come in, and I'm going to probably meander off towards the dam and see if we can see anything, and hopefully we'll try catch up with them this afternoon, one of us. I think we probably should let Taylor come back here since she was here first, and unfortunately due to her vehicle problems she had to return to camp. So I'm going to give the other vehicles a chance to come in. So bye-bye flat Tingana. Lynn is asking, have Hukamuri and Tingana met yet? Lynn, I can't be certain, and as I say, I've only been back for just over a week. Sebastian, anything you know about Tingana and Hukamuri meeting? No. So I'm sure they probably have, hensing the fact that Hukamuri has managed to slice off a significant portion of Tingana's territory, but it might have been why Tingana was not in good condition, so he might have just tried to avoid that that confrontation completely and headed further to the south and to the east. So I can't be certain. I didn't hear of anything about them meeting. There we go. So I'm just going to there's lots of people coming in there. So with a flat cat sighting like that, let's rather let other people have a chance while we go have a look what's happening at the dam. Let's see. I was hoping as it heats up there might be some oily fints that were coming down, but it doesn't look like it just yet. But I think during the day or this afternoon there's definitely going to be elephants around this wonderful waterhole at Chitwa. Let's have a look. Oh, I think I see a fish eagle. I'm just going to try and get... Oh, the light's going to be very difficult for Sebastian. I'm going to try move into a position where it is not white out there, because it's very bright this morning, especially after all the rain. There's not going to be a lot of dust and whatnot in the air to diffuse the light, so the light is very clear and very bright. How's that for you, Sebastian? That should work. Yes, there we go. So we're just trying to get the fish eagle not against the sun, so you can actually see him very nicely. Hello, fish eagle. There we go. Sitting up in the dead leadwood on one of the little islands in Chitwa Dam. Keeping an eye out if there's any potential food about. Now, it seems like everyone, like Sebastian and I, are hoping some elephants come rolling down while it's this hot. You can see those big talons on the fish eagle used for grabbing fish out of the water. Now, although a fish eagle's diet is predominantly made up of fish. They will also take ducks, geese, other aquatic birds around the edges of the water, and even occasionally small mammals such as cane rats and other things that live around wet areas. Now, there's a nice little bird down there on the ground, Sebastian. See it scuttling off there. There we go. An African pied wagtail, patrolling the water's edge. A bit small to be worried about the fish eagles. Or too small to trouble the fish eagle for a meal. And there we go, there's the Chitwa. Oh no, we're going to go look at the hippos. Sorry, Seb. There's the Chitwa lodge. Now let me just give you an idea quickly with my hand. Sorry, let's go back into the lodge. So when we were staying there, we were eating dinner just behind where my finger is now, and on the deck. And while we were eating our dinner at Chitwa, and if we go a little bit to the right towards the health spa, there we go, Hosana was in that tree eating his dinner, which was a bushbuck, and we could actually hear him crunching the bones while we tucked into our scrumptious and succulent duck. It was quite a special moment. It's not often you get to do that. While eating your dinner, you can hear Hosana crunching away on bushbuck bones. And all the hippos. You can see how low the hippos are sitting in the water this morning because the sun, as Sabi said, is very bright. Little ear wiggle. Now during the day, the hippos are going to be quite quiet. You're not going to hear too much vocalization from them. But what have you spotted, Seb? Oh, Seb spotted a bird of prey. Very difficult to see what it is from that angle. It's the same fish eagle, actually. He took off. There we go. He's decided no fish in that area. It's a change of around at Chitwa Dam, the Egyptian geese, and the great white egret on the other side. Here we go. Fluffity, fluffity, fluffity. And you can see how harsh the light is this morning. Now, hippos spend a lot of time in the water during the daylight hours, and wisteria will the water during the dead of winter. Well, they actually spend less time in the water in the cold months. They will often get cold, and they will move up onto one of these little islands and sunbathe during the winter months. So they actually spend less time in the water during the winter months. Oh, hippo. There we go, well spotted, Seb. There's a little threat display. Not a very serious one, and I don't think it was directed at us. I think it was directed at another hippo. There's a little baby sitting next to Mom. Chup.